Hey guys, today I finally have my physical copy and we're going to be talking about the Analects of Confucius 6.6, where we again see Zhonggong or Yong, one of Confucius's more quieter disciples, but also at the same time very, very virtuous. And today's just all about merit versus just family history and how people may judge capable people by who their parents are or what their background is instead of their virtue and instead of their own personality. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started. 6.6. The master, speaking about Zhonggong, said, "If the offspring of a plow ox has a reddish coat and perfectly formed horns, even if we won't use it in a sacrifice, would the spirit of the mountains and rivers refuse to accept it?" Alrighty, so this offspring of a plow ox and this reddish coat and all this talk about oxen, this is symbolizing Zhonggong himself. And like we've talked about, he is a very virtuous person and he has the potential to lead and be a really great ruler. Like we've said at the beginning of book 6, the master said that he could be given a seat facing south. But again, like we've talked about, his father wasn't a very good person, symbolized by this quote-unquote offspring of a plow ox. A plow ox was used back then to kind of to I forgot what the word is, but it's to work in the fields. And since it has this kind of job, it's considered more lowly than the other kinds of oxen. And this again symbolizes Zhonggong's dad, who wasn't a very good, very virtuous person. But if the offspring of this said plow ox, aka Zhonggong, if he has a reddish coat and perfectly formed horns, so reddish coat, in all the colors of oxen, a reddish coat is arguably the most beautiful out of all of them. And yeah, very pretty and perfectly formed horns. So maybe some oxen, their horns might be like crooked or just like not symmetrical or just like one shorter than the other or something like that. But here, perfectly formed horns as in perfectly symmetrical, just like that. I don't know how oxen looks actually. I don't know. So he is kind of suggesting Zhonggong that even though he is born from a plow ox, like a kind of low rank kind of ox, he has the best appearance. And even though he does have this perfect appearance, people won't really use him for a sacrifice because they don't want to use a plow ox, even though this ox looks very perfect. And this kind of shows how judgmental people could be. As in, yes, Zhonggong is perfectly capable to be a leader, but people are very picky about family history back then in ancient China. So at that time they probably weren't really, they were really looking down on Zhonggong. But Confucius says that even if the people won't sacrifice it, aka it's really not like sacrifice as in, oh, this is so painful and there's blood everywhere, but as in it's a very honorable thing to be sacrificed if you think about it a certain way. But even though the people won't sacrifice it, then the mountains and the rivers or the spirits inside them, they won't refuse to accept him. And because the mountains and the rivers, they don't judge people. And they don't judge people based on who their family was. They just judge by how you are, how you look, how your character is, and how virtuous you are. And Confucius is probably suggesting that spirits in this way, because they don't judge people by their family history, then these kind of spirits are far more superior than people are. And yeah, it's just a very big critique on this kind of belief that you have to look at someone's family history to decide whether or not they can have a government position, even though they could be completely capable, or it could be the other way around. If your family is very renowned, and then they will probably choose you to be the leader of something, even though you yourself might not be that capable. And like I've said before, looking at family history was a very key factor of how to decide whether or not someone is fit to be in some kind of government position. And Confucius, of course, by saying this, he is very much critiquing this notion, thinking that it's absolutely ridiculous. People must have really felt impacted by that, and they were very taken aback by Confucius's statement, like, oh my gosh, really? Why would you be saying that? Because virtually everybody was doing this at the time, of course. And this is also Confucius's way of telling Zhonggong, hey, you don't have to feel inferior at all. You shouldn't feel like everyone's better than you or something. Because family history is something that you can't control. You can't control what your dad did way before you were even alive. And you can't control who your parents are. You can't control you can't control what your family did and who they are. And so you shouldn't care about what other people are saying about you, because you only need to care about what you can control, aka how upright you are, how beautiful you are, your character, and all these things like reddish coat and perfectly formed horns. And plus, even if humans will judge you for your family background, then spirits won't, and spirits are, of course, so much more superior, so much wiser than people are. And so gaining the approval of the spirits, aka you will, because your character is so good and you're so virtuous, then you don't even need to care about the approval of other people. Because, of course, they only live for so long, and their opinions can be very, very flawed. And just to connect this back to our current time, the Chinese people actually still use this concept, and it's been reformed to what is now known as the Gaokao, or the Chinese version of the SAT/ACT, the admissions test. And so yeah, this is the college admissions test. You've probably heard about it as the hardest test in the world or something. And it very much is, because everyone, no matter who you are or who your family is, everyone in China is competing for is taking this test, and only a small amount of people, the most capable, the most dedicated, will go to the top few universities. And all of this, it's just based on whether or not you're capable. And this test is essentially seeing if you're capable enough, and that is the only thing that they're gonna look at. Unlike the stuff that we have in America, where it's like, you could write an essay about your struggles, just like trauma dump out here, and have some recommendation letters, extracurriculars, and have your family or have your siblings or have your parents ever gone to this school before, or what do your parents do? Or something like that. But the only thing that colleges are going off of in China is this test. And if you score well enough, then boom, you're in, nothing else. And so yeah, they apply this concept as in they don't look at who your family is, they just look at your merit. And if you're capable enough, then boom, you're in, no matter how rich or poor you are. And if you're not capable enough, then sorry, but unfortunately, these colleges won't be accepting you. And yeah, that'll be all today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!